Battle of the Challenges podcast with Vincent Cloud. And this is episode 17 of Final Reckoning, Scandal. And the title is, oh yeah, it's that bullshit scandal. The scandal that could easily be dismissed if production were to just show people in Redemption House clips of the regular house like they always fucking do, but they just don't because they want Bananas to be to hold shit over these people's heads, you know? If it sounds like bullshit and it sounds like lies, Kaylee, I wonder if they've seen the daily clips because Polly and Natalie know about them. Yeah, they were even told in the main house. I thought they were told in the main. Whatever the fuck. Okay, well, let's just go through this chronologically, really quick, because I don't know. I watched this episode. I liked it, but at the same time, I'm like, man, this is very Bananas heavy, but like in the most stupidest way possible. So let's get into it. We'll start off at the bar. Nelson and Natalie are talking, which they do. They have done that before in the past. So, but Banana's like, oh my gosh, she knows that I fucking hate Nelson and I fucking hate Hunter, and she's talking to them. And so it's, I mean, this is what narcissists do. He's just like, oh my god, everyone in this house, what they do is in regards to me, affects me and shit like that, So he's mad that Natalie and Nelson are talking. They're just talking, and then I think they dance a little bit, just a little bit. But Banana's like, I'm gonna put that shit in my my back pocket. You never know when this could be used and stuff like that. And then he probably says like, hey, fucking producers, yeah, behind the camera, don't you fucking say anything. Don't you show any clips. This is mine. And they're like, but Bananas, we gotta show people on the inside clips of so everyone knows the secrets of the full house. The regular house. And he's like, I don't fucking care. You don't fucking tell it. Like, this is mine. This is fucking mine. So anyways, like he said this before he was even sent to Redemption. This is crazy. This is nuts. All right, let's get into the elimination where, okay, so everybody votes, right? And the Lavender Ladies finally make their move. A big move. An obvious move. You got to put in Bananas and Tony, There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Like they were talking about, they're like, we'll never beat them in a final. Like, will you? No. They were all just like, yeah, what the fuck, And to me, I'm like, yes, this is the obvious move, but we'll get into that. So Bananas and Tony are voted in. They can only pick through the Lavender Ladies. They choose Joss and Sylvia. This elimination was cool. What was it called? Trip Me Up? Trip Me Up. I would have called it Jenga. It was like Jenga Unchained. But there was no chains involved. Damn it. Well, I don't know. But like fucking Trip Me Up. There was no tripping. It was the water. They had to like build those house of cards over water. So they could have called it like Kevin Spacey trying to knock the cards down, the house of cards. I don't know what I'm saying. Hey, fine title, whatever. Let's get into the actual thing itself where like it's fucking cold. You got to, one has to dip in there and grab the medallions off the rope. And then, but really it's all about the balancing of these cards and being so fucking patient, not losing your cool, Bananas was freaking out. I do remember that. And Tony was like, it's kind of scary how frustrated he is, I love that because Tony, a grown ass man, is like, it's kind of scary, kind of off putting and stuff, Meanwhile, though, Joss, Bananas always said like, oh, your fucking balls are in his purse or in her purse, Sylvia's purse. And it's kind of true. it doesn't matter because Joss, he doesn't even like, he's not allowed to touch the cards or whatever the fuck, the medallions and stuff. Sylvia's like, Joss, stop it, let me do this. Even Shane on the side was like, Joss, this is not your show right now. This is not you. This is all about her and stuff. And you know what? They were right. Joss is all muscle. These fine touches that were required by Sylvia, he just does not have those. It's very similar to Nelson and his leg work. He has no dexterity. He's falling, he's slipping. He's kind of like Nelson and Joss are physically fit, of course, but it's kind of Dunbar-esque. Now, if you remember Dunbar from back in the day, like, the guy was huge. He was a fucking bear. But when it came to like balance and these like hand-eye coordination, I guess he just fell apart. So there you go. But either way, Shane, Sylvia, they know this. They're like, Joss, just let her do that, and they did. They beat Bananas and Tony. Let's get into Redemption House, where there's so much. It's all bananas. This whole fucking episode is filled with bananas. That's where he comes in and he's like, hey, Kayla. Like, out of nowhere. I don't remember what they were saying. He's like, hey, guess what? Fucking Nelson and Natalie were... What did he fucking say? Did he say that they hooked up? Or did he just say, like, they were cuddling and stuff on a bed together or something like that? And even Tony was like, yeah, man, I fucking... Like, you couldn't prime apart from each other. You couldn't get the hose out and, when dogs get stuck, it's very gross. But I just wanted to throw it out there. But yeah, right then and there, I was like, where the fuck... Redemption House, they show them the daily clips of what's going on in the main house. Why aren't they doing that? I think either A, it's just a coincidence that they weren't shown this juicy shit. But why wouldn't they be shown that? You know what I mean? Oh, because it doesn't exist. God damn it. I'm trying to think, but no, you know what? It's just production. Like I kind of wish that they would just say like, okay, well now it's clip show time, Banana's like, oh fuck, all right, because like what has happened at the house that needs to be known by a Redemption House? I can't think of anything, So there you go. There's just more and more time of bananas seemingly having the overhand on people. Here we go. The Purge. It's called Heads Will Roll. This is where like you're on a spinning log and stuff. You got to get on. What is it? The guy has to take the flag, reach a certain point. The other person has to have both legs off the platform, and they have to exchange the flag. I thought this was pretty cool. I enjoyed it. Paulie and Natalie win. Paulie and Natalie have won their second mission in a row now since they've gotten back into the house. That's crazy. That's man, it kind of makes you wonder, like, why were they sent in to begin with? It wasn't due to their performances necessarily. It was because Paulie was getting close to Cara, and then Kyle sent him in and stuff. But yeah, you never really had the feeling that these two performed well, because they did fail like 2 Armageddons and get sent right back into Redemption House. So it's crazy. It's like pent up aggression finally paying off or something, It's totally bizarre, but good for them. Natalie just like being awesome, still getting men's attention despite like, look at the soul patch of flesh and scrapage going on. Like, it looks almost scabby now, and you're like, oh god. But at the same time, she would win me over too. I'd be like, oh my god, like you're great. You're a good performer and shit. You turn men's heads. Let's see, Shane and oh my god. But then this is a purge, like I was saying, and Shane and Nelson lose, and it's definitely Nelson that falls and fails, but it's crazy though. I say this about Nelson being like kind of clumsy or like not being able to balance dexterity, that sort of shit. But he's good in terms of like brute strength, you know? So why did Shane decide that Nelson would have to go across the majority of the log? You know what I mean? Shane should have volunteered to do that. I mean, he should have known by now that Nelson has his pros and his cons, you know? So I just kind of felt like, hey man, you should have known. You know, it does suck. It really does suck that Shane and Nelson are now going into Redemption House. And this is, yeah. And then once they go into Redemption House, that's when Bananas is like, no, he doesn't even have to say anything. I think Kaylee's just like, hey, you fucker. I heard that you fucked Natalie or something like that. And Nelson's like, who told you this? It's just, so the episode ends with Bananas like, but it's like, hey, asshole, you were just eliminated, okay? What did I write here? So it looks like at the end of the episode, seemingly having the upper hand or the last word, you know, that's Bananas, right? Despite that he just lost his elimination as per usual. You want to know what? Remember when Nelson was called in by Cara Maria in elimination? He's like, are you crazy? I'm 8-1. Bananas going into this was 7-9, and now he is 7-10. Fucking, you know, he's gifted in missions, politics, finals, you know, lots of areas. But when it comes to elimination, you gotta send him in there. He has a terrible track record, and if you were to include, I guess if you were to include Champs versus Stars series, he's actually 8-11. You know, so it's like, fucking send him in, god damn it. And I'll say, I think the reason why though that Bananas does have a trouble in eliminations is because he lives and dies. He breathes and bleeds the challenge. You know, this is life and death sort of shit. So he really puts an emphasis on these eliminations. It's kind of like how Evan back in the day, he was amazing in all different areas, right? He was better than Bananas in eliminations, but when it came to eliminations, he would get frustrated and flustered, and like he would lose certain eliminations. So it's always like it's a different animal. It's a different type of department to deal with psychologically, especially for Bananas. Like I said, he just he scares Tony in elimination, you know, and they were teammates. So you know what? That's the end of the episode. Whoa, what a short podcast, but I don't know. Good episode. Finally got to watch it. It was very super late on my Xbox One account. That was super annoying, but there it is. You know, Bananas getting all this airtime despite being eliminated. It does remind me again of when he was eliminated in what was it, Vendettas, when Devin called him out and Bananas was like, I wish I could strangle you right now and shit. And then they go into elimination and then Bananas is eliminated, right? But during that same episode, clouded over, covered up in a way, distracted, if you will, was the concept of the bullying. That's when those ladies pushed Kaylee's shit over the balcony, all her belongings and stuff, and she's like, oh my god, this is bullying. And the whole episode was about anti-bullying, you know? So to me, it was very interesting that the challenge, the producers lose their poster boy and he doesn't look good in that scenario, but instead they're like, well, how about we push this bullying storyline around it So that'll be the focus of the episode, you know? And yeah, it's crazy. Like you could see similar instances with production being like, oh fuck, we got to protect our stars somehow. You know, we'll move mountains. When Cara Maria was eliminated in that one episode, she went into redemption, got into the Armageddon to get back into the house, and won that elimination, all within the same episode. So it's like, yeah, she got eliminated in the beginning, came back at the end of the episode, and you're just like, oh my god, she is great, she's brilliant. Or it wouldn't, you know, that first elimination didn't seem to count in some way. It was, I don't know. Again, this is just production trying to help their stars out any way they can. That's the end of the episode. You know, every single time I run out of, like, when I don't have my notes on me, I'm just like, so yeah. I'm gonna cover the rest of the episodes. I also have some other specialty episodes coming out soon. Like, what am I working on? Top rookie seasons of all time. You know, you think of all the people that had great rookie seasons, and I'm gonna make like a top 5 list. I'm also working on like a trilogy, best trilogy, because what they say, like, this is, what was the first part? Part 1 of this trilogy that's currently going on right now was Dirty 30, and then part 2 was Vendettas, and Final Reckoning is supposed to be like the third part. And then I also have another video about the 3 eras of the challenge. You know, everyone's saying like, oh, Final Reckoning, it's the end of an era. Banana says it in the main titles. He was like, hey, it's the end of an era. I don't think it's right. I don't think it's right. I don't think it's true. I think it's a bunch of, you know, it's a marketing gimmick. That's all this fucking is. I do not see the challenge changing anytime soon. So, but if they were to be true to their word, and somehow the challenge is never the same after Final Reckoning, the challenge has had 3 eras. You know, there was like the Real World versus Road Rules era, and then that ended at like Gauntlet 2, and then the second era was like the Fresh Meat era, the JEK Dynasty, perhaps, whereas it was like those were when the missions went more physical and shit, and what we kind of view the challenge today as. And then, but then it entered a third era in Free Agents, where they meaning the production, started to just change up everything, starting with eliminations, finals, all this shit. They started to just warp stuff, and then the prolonging of episodes. So there has been 3 eras. If this is indeed the end of the 3rd era and we're entering the 4th, who knows what the fuck it's going to be. But yeah, I got all this shit coming up in the works. So like, subscribe, comment. This was Battle of the Challenges podcast with Vincent Cloud. Stop.